Guthrie Public Schools Board of Education. Roll call, please.
Salee.
Here.
Smedley. Here. Bennett Johnson.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Schroeder.
Here.
Clack.
Here.
Pearson.
Present. We've established a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let us pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Agenda item number 6, student recognition.
Mr. Whimsy, I believe you have a student recognition this evening.
Is the audio on?
We coming all the way up or right?
Yeah.
All the way up?
Oh, just, yeah, right there.
Okay. Hello everyone, I'm Blake Whimsy with Foundation Insurance, and I'm here to present our first Student of the Month award for the school year. I think this will be our third, maybe the fourth year we've done this program, so we've asked teachers to nominate students that go above and beyond the classroom, and not just in how they perform in the classroom, but really just the way they treat their peers and their teachers, and some character traits that really shine through. So our Student of the Month is Mr. Bradley Walls, and he was nominated by his teacher, or one of them, Tina Ogle. And so the character trait that he was nominated for was humility, and I'd like to read to you guys what she wrote. She writes, Bradley is an exceptional young man that is always looking for ways to help others. He helps out classmates by providing materials if they need them. He helps those around him if there are questions on an assignment, and he's always willing to help out teachers with daily tasks. We had a student join our class a few days after the start of school, and Bradley offered to show the student to her classes because she was not familiar with the school. I appreciate Bradley's willingness to help others and put other people's needs before his own. So Bradley, congrats on being Student of the Month, and on behalf of Foundation Insurance, we've got a gift card to Stacy's Place here in Guthrie.
Thank you.
Hey, remember around and just take a picture. Cliff Notes version because we couldn't hear a thing.
Sure. Bradley Walls, our Student of the Month for, I guess it'd be for September, and he was nominated for the character trait of humility, and Tina basically wrote that he is always willing to help others, puts others before himself. There's an example of how a new girl was in class, and he showed her to the new classes because she was unfamiliar with it. So we've got a $65 gift card to Stacy's Place here in Guthrie.
Great. Congratulations.
Another thing.
Agenda item number 7, comments to the board by citizens registered to speak to the board.
We have none.
Comments to the board by board members. Superintendent's report.
Okay, first off, I want to start by recognizing Deanna Madole from Eskridge Chevrolet here in Guthrie. She is going to make a presentation of $500, and it's just another one of the great examples that we have of a tremendous partnership with businesses here in town. And Deanna is here with her big check, and I know we'll, I think she's going to take that one with her, but I think she's going to give us
I'll give you a roll.
that maybe we can take to the bank. Deanna, is there anything you'd like to say?
I just want to let the board know, thank you for letting us be here this evening, and thank you for supporting Eskridge Chevrolet in our dealership with your presence and with your patronage. We appreciate that. I want you to know I come from Oklahoma City and the Edmond area, and those kids aren't in school yet all the time, and the parents are going crazy and the kids are going crazy, so I commend you. Thank you for putting the kids in class and teaching them and loving them and being there for them. That's what they need. They need some structure, and I appreciate you guys. I know this isn't a whole lot, but maybe it can help buy some more PPE equipment or whatever you guys need. So take it and enjoy it, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of the school here in Guthrie and pouring into your students. So thank you so much.
Thank you. The report I have is going to be brief. We've had a very smooth start to the school year. It's different, there's no doubt, but I commend our staff and the work that they put in to make our start happen. Because not every school district is doing that, and it's taken a lot of work on the part of many people, and also very much an understanding ability as things are different and we work through things. Many of our families are taking advantage of the Blue Jay Academies. We've seen almost a 600% increase in the enrollment for this year compared to last, and that is expected. And then we finally received our internet hotspots for use with distance learning. We're working to prepare them for deployment with our technology department. Our COVID infection numbers for Logan County appear to be holding steady in a range between 7 and 11 active cases and a rolling 7-day sample per 100,000. We continue as a county to be in the low risk category. Remember, a transition to moderate risk triggers mandatory mask usage by students and staff for a minimum of 2 weeks. And then the final thing, we had already scheduled an early homecoming. We had what I think was a very good evening for football. We had a good parade. We might have been missing the assemblies, but I was just happy that we were able to do that and have some sense of normalcy in these crazy times. And all the people that worked hard to make that happen, I applaud them as well. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Agenda item number 9 is the consent agenda. Are there items to be pulled? Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Madam President, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made by Davis and seconded by Salih to approve the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Bennett Johnson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson,
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 10, the business agenda. Item A, recommendation, consideration, and action upon gifted and talented committee. It's on page 52.
This is an annual item that we bring to the board for approval, and as Ms. Pearson said, it's on page 52 of your packet. The committee, we had this discussion in committees in board committees that this is a 2-year rotation on these members, and you can see on page 52 where they are in the rotation. Recommend approval.
A motion has been made by Plagg and seconded by Smedley to approve agenda item 10A. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Salih,
Yes.
Smedley,
Yes.
Bennett Johnson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson,
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. B, recommendation, consideration, and action upon the United Community Action Head Start, pages 53 through 65.
This is an annual item that we bring to the board for their ratification that allows us to provide the special education services to Head Start students, and this is required by federal law. Recommend approval, and Ms. Young is here to answer any questions if you might have.
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with United Community Action Head Start.
Second.
Motion's been made by Schroeder and seconded by Bennett to approve agenda item B. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley? Yes. Bennett Johnson?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Schroeder?
Yes.
Clegg? Pearson?
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10C, recommendation, consideration, and action upon the agreement with University of Oklahoma National Center for Disability Education and Training, pages 66 through 78.
This is an item that we brought last year as well. This allows for training of students with disabilities as they look to transition into the job world. And recommend approval. And Ms. Young is here to answer any questions you might have.
Second.
Motion has been made by Smedley and seconded by Davis to approve agenda item 10C. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley? Yes. Bennett Johnson?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Schroeder?
Yes.
Clegg? Pearson?
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10D, recommendation, consideration, and action upon professional development committee for 2020-2021.
This is on page 79 of your board packet, and it is an annual item that we bring to the board for their ratification. This is a 3-year rotation. You can see on there where everyone is on the rotation. Recommend approval, and if there are questions, Ms. Walters can answer them.
Madam President, I make a motion that we accept the professional development committee for 2020-2021.
Second.
A motion has been made by Davis and seconded by Schroeder to approve 10D. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley? Yes. Bennett Johnson?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Schroeder?
Yes.
Clegg? Pearson?
Yes. Motion
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10E, recommendation, consideration, and action upon renewal agreement with Coca-Cola Southwest Beverage LCC for 2021.
This is an annual renewal of the agreement that we have to provide vending machines in our buildings for beverages. And this has been, it's on pages 80 through 82 of your packet. Recommend approval. There is a change in this that they, Coca-Cola wants to have 2 separate payments because of some of the uncertainty with regard to COVID. And by having the 2 payments, it allows them to pull back some of the money if necessary because our enrollment figures have dropped, and we know that. And so part of that allows for that clawback. Recommend approval.
Madam President, I move to approve the agreement with Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages, LLC for 2020 to 2021.
Second.
Motion has been made by Salee and seconded by Bennett Johnson to approve agenda item 10E. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley? Yes. Bennett Johnson?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Schroeder?
Yes.
Clegg? Pearson?
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10F, recommendation, consideration, and action upon the contract with the Stacy Group, Inc. for architectural services for 2020-2021.
This is the annual renewal of our agreement with the Stacy Group, pages 83 through 94. Their rates have not changed for their services, and recommend approval. This is just so that we have them under contract. There's not a lot of projects in the pipeline for next summer, but we still need to have them under contract because as we get closer to the bigger projects of HVAC in this building and things such as that, they will need to start drawing those plans up. So recommend approval.
Madam President, I make a motion that we approve the
Second.
Who seconded it? I'm sorry.
Travis.
Motion was made by Smedley and seconded by Salee to approve agenda item 10F. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley,
Yes.
Bennett Johnson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson,
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10G, recommendation, consideration, and action upon 2020-2021 estimate of needs as prepared by Putman and Company, PLLC, and 2020-2021 financial statement and the authority to publish the same.
This, we always bring this at this meeting. We have pages 195 through 142 of your packet is the first step in the budgeting process as we seek the appropriations by the estimate of needs. And recommend approval, and if there are questions, Ms. Chappell is here to answer.
Madam President, I make a motion that we accept the 2020-2021 estimate of needs prepared by Putman and Company, PLLC, and the 2020-2021 financial statement and the authority to publish the same.
Motion's been made by Davis and seconded by Smedley to approve 10G. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson,
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10H, recommendation, consideration, and action upon 2020-2021 Guthrie Public Schools Distance Learning Plan.
This is a new requirement from the State Department of Education as we have been working through the transition into distance learning as a state. And every district is required to have this on file with them. The plan that you saw in board committee meetings has evolved a little bit. We've added an attendance component to that qualifies what attendance is, and that came from our attorneys. And so we pulled it from a proposed policy that we're not going to put in policy yet. We want to put it in this plan. But we took the language from that policy as to make the distance learning plan clear with what attendance is. And Mr. Ogle, Ms. Walters have worked on this along with other staff members. If you have questions of them, they're here to provide some clarity if there's anything that you're unsure about.
Maybe not necessarily this question directly towards this plan, but with quarantining some students, have we been happy with that process of how that's gone through to learning from home for 2 weeks or however long they've been quarantined?
Chris, what I'd say is we're working through some challenges, but I think we're making progress. It's not been perfect, and it will, as we get this figured out. Again, this is another part of building the plane at 35,000 feet. We had to quarantine before we had probably the adequate training that we needed with staff, and then just the other thing that I would say is we're not the only ones doing this, and so the vendors that we are using, their resources are taxed beyond their capabilities at times to be responsive to us as well. But having the patience to work through that with them has been what we have tried to do. I don't know, Doug, you and Carmen have anything else to add there? You may want to come up to the podium.
One of the things I'd like to say about the distance learning plan, Dee put a lot of time into that. What Carmen and I did was get with our accreditation officer to make sure that it would pass what the state wanted. And so the attendance thing that we added was late from committee was a recommendation from our accreditation officer, and we ran that through the attorney as well. But no, we are having some issues. Some sites are a little bit ahead of others, but for the most part, we are doing pretty well with distance learning. We do have some packets that are still going out, but as the weeks go on, we just finished up some more professional development last week with Edgenuity for 6th through 12th, and so our teachers were able to ask some questions that they had from 2 weeks into it. And so the more we get into it, I think that was a question that was asked last month, was how long do we need? And so we need weeks and months of training, but we're doing very well so far. Well, right now we've only had one classroom that's been distance learning at Charter Oak, and then some students, individuals at the junior high, and I think a few at the high school. And so the distance learning plan committee put that in, and Ms. Walters went over hers in committee, and I went over mine last month. And so the principals are checking with those, and we've had a few phone calls from parents that teachers are really good at using the Google Classroom. They send it to the students. The parents didn't know that the students already had the homework, and so they're like, the students didn't say anything to them. And so they are checking those, and if not, we're getting phone calls from the principals as well.
The motion is in order.
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve the 2020-2021 Guthrie Public Schools distance learning plan.
A motion's been made by Schroeder and seconded by Flagg to approve 10H. Is there discussion? Well, I'd like to thank Mr. Ogle and Mrs. Walters and all of our administration and staff who have put input into this. This is a new area we haven't had to venture before, and it's not been easy, and we thank you very much for what you've done. Roll call, please.
Salih?
Yes.
Smedley? Yes. Bennett Johnson?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Schroeder?
Yes.
Clegg? Pearson?
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10I, recommendation, consideration, and action upon the COVID-19 protocols for 2020-2021, effective August 31st, 2020.
If you'll remember when all this started and we were going to in-person learning, it was the recommendation of Mr. Moyer, our attorney, that you grant me the authority to make changes to the protocols, and then at the next regular board meeting, the board would ratify those. And so on pages 146 through 159, you have a red line master that shows the changes that I'm asking for ratification of. The essential changes are on pages 147 and 148, and it is the trigger that I spoke about in my superintendent's report to mandate masks. And then the other change that happened more recently is a better clarification on page 148 of the quarantine procedures, and that is directly from the CDC and the Oklahoma State Department of Health. And so, if there are any questions? I would recommend approval.
Motion's been made by Flagg and seconded by Bennett Johnson to approve 10I. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson,
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10J, recommendation, consideration, and action upon the Guthrie High School Parent-Student Handbook for 2020-2021, temporary revisions.
Okay, in July, this board approved the student handbook for Guthrie High School. And since then, it's been brought to our attention a request by one parent for their student to drive to Meridian, and that is a Meridian student. And so as we worked through that with our attorney and working through with the parent and with the administration of Meridian, we've landed on the change that we have in front of you that is on page 178 of the board packet. We ask that you amend the handbook, and it has a sunset of the end of first semester. If we are still in the same situation that we're in right now, we will probably bring in December another revision of this handbook to make it for the remainder of the school year. But and this is also something that Mr. LeGrand and I have worked very diligently on to try to come to a place where we're comfortable with it, and our attorneys are comfortable, and the parents are comfortable with it as well.
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve the Guthrie High School Parent-Student Handbook 2020-2021 temporary revisions.
Second.
Motion is made by Schroeder and seconded by Salee to approve 10J. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson,
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10K, presentation of the new district policy C7A, emergency preparedness and management.
This is the first reading of policy C7A that is a recommendation from our attorneys. And as I triage these policies going forward for the things that were most urgent, this one was not, but it has a lot of things in it that we already have in practice, but it clarifies them with regard to some duties of the superintendent in order to manage the district in emergency situations, whether it be bad weather, a threat to safety, or a pandemic. And so we have not had this policy in the past, and it's, again, for a first reading. This is not an action item, but bring this to you for your review.
L, recommendation, consideration, and action upon revision to district policy E44, internet-based instruction.
This is a policy that got revamped tremendously in order to respond to the needs of distance learning and the needs of switching from internet-based instruction that was not a substitute for classroom instruction in person. And this clarifies that can be a substitute. And so this is a complete revamp of this policy, and I recommend approval of it.
E44. motion has been made by Smedley and seconded by Davis to approve 10L. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson, Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10M, recommendation, consideration, and action upon revision of District Policy F7, Contagious and Life-Threatening Disease Policy.
This policy that we are asking for revision here is, this comes to us from our attorneys as we, again, work through some things that are nuances with regard to COVID. And the operative thing is, the operative language is in the red line master, but it is involving a physician and very clear about the role of a physician in the return to school. Recommend approval.
A motion has been made by Flagg and seconded by Smedley to approve 10M. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson, Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10N, recommendation, consideration, and action upon revision of District Policy FA, AIDS Prevention Education for Students and
Communicable.
Thank you, yes, we can come out. Diseases. Pages 209 through 211.
Occasionally, when you go to review one policy, you start looking at another one and realize that it's well overdue for review. And that's what happened with F8 as I was looking over F7 to try and place the language in the proper spot. And I reviewed F8, then reached out to our attorneys and determined that that policy was overdue for review and revision. And so as we found that, I recommend that we amend that policy as presented as well.
Motion
Madam
before-
President, I'll make a motion to approve the revision to District Policy F-8, AIDS Prevention Education for Students and Communicable Diseases.
Motion is made by Schroeder and seconded by Bennett Johnson to approve 10N. Discussion?
I might ask, now, parents are always notified that the students would be receiving this education, correct?
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson, Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
I have to ask, do you enjoy just reading policies?
It's a necessary evil, and I have to step away at times and then come back to it.
10O, consider and vote to accept a gift of library books for Guthrie Upper Elementary and Guthrie Junior High School by the Guthrie Assembly Number 22 International Order of the Rainbow for Girls.
Policy C2 that we have necessitates board approval of accepting gifts if there is any kind of notation of who provided the gift. And so this came to me from McKenna Bench, one of our students who wants to make the donation on behalf of the Guthrie Rainbow Assembly of library books. And I have had the librarians at both the Guthrie Upper Elementary and the junior high approve the books, the titles that McKenna wants to donate to the libraries of the respective schools. And so then, after we did that, it's now to the board for your approval to accept the donation.
Madam President, I move that we accept Business Agenda 10O.
A motion has been made by Davis and seconded by Flagg to accept 10O. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson, Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Flagg, Pearson,
Abstain.
6 ayes. Is that 0 nays?
One abstention.
1 abstention.
Motion carries. 10P, receive bids for the purchase of $750,000 general obligation building bonds, Series 2020B of the district, and vote to award said bonds to the lowest bidder complying with the notice of sale and instructions to bidders.
Should have at your table a tabulation of bids for Mr. Wolf, and John is here to walk us through the next parts of the next two agenda items.
Good evening, everyone. Well, we had 3 bidders today on your 2-year, $750,000 general obligation bond issue, and the low bidder was First Bankers Bank Securities, but they bid in association with your local bank, F&M, who actually purchased your last bonds that you sold in the spring. And they bid an effective interest rate when you take the actual rate you pay on the bonds, they actually paid a premium or bid a premium that you will actually get deposited to pay towards the interest payments that you have on your existing bonds. So the effective interest rate with that premium is 0.41%. So as superintendent and I were speaking, I wish we were selling 10 times this amount at this interest rate. Rates are very low. They're at all-time lows. They continue at that level. But we also had 2 other bidders that weren't too far behind at a 0.48% and a 0.54%. So I'd be glad to answer any questions that anyone has, but certainly we're going to recommend that you award to the lowest bidder, which is First Bankers Bank Securities Incorporated, in association with Mr. Anderson's bank.
How does the premium work? I mean, how does that work?
I'll describe that. What happens is at closing, very simply, when you receive your proceeds, $750,000, you'll also get that additional $8,662.50 will be put into your sinking fund. And so when you start making interest payments, this is only a 2-year bond, so you only have interest payments. I think you have one in February of 2022, and then you have another interest payment along with your principal payment in
It's April and October.
Yes. So that money will go into your sinking fund, and that will help you pay towards that first interest. They bid that premium to separate themselves. That's what other banks do when they bid, or underwriters. And in this case, because this is such a small issue, short period of time, it's a significant part of the interest that you would pay over the term. So,
Have we ever seen that before, the premium?
Yeah.
yes, we have premium bids on quite a few of your bonds. There's some underwriters or bankers, BOK, a lot of the time doesn't bid a premium, but it's pretty standard. especially when rates are as low as they are, they'd rather get paid a higher interest rate, but pay a premium for that higher interest rate. And unless you guys want to go into Bonds 101, we can save that for another day and kind of how premiums work in the bond market. So,
John, is there any chance we could refinance our other debt to this interest rate?
I wish we could. And it's kind of funny. We talk about, wow, the rates have really come up. They've come up to X, and then in relationship to the last 100 years, everything is extremely low now. So the cost of capital is so much further reduced by low interest rates. So great time to, and let's just hope these rates hold in there for 3 or 4 more years as you take on collateral and those bond sizes in the future. So once again, we recommend that you award to First Bankers Bank Securities, Inc. And you would put that in your motion, of course.
Thank you, John.
So, John, is item P on the receive the bids, that's, the action is on item Q, is that correct?
Right. Well, on item 7, you receive the bids, but you also recommend award.
Oh, and vote to award.
Yeah, a vote to award to the lowest and best bidder, which we recommend the obvious. So.
Okay.
Madam President, I make a motion that we accept the bid for the $750,000 general obligation building bond series 2020B to First Bankers Bank Securities, Inc. in association with F&M Bank.
Second.
Motion been made by Davis and seconded by Salee to approve 10P. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley,
Yes.
Bennett Johnson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 10Q, consider and vote on resolution providing for the issuance of general obligation bonds in the sum of $750,000 by Independent School District Number 1, Logan County, Oklahoma, authorized at an election called and held for such purpose. Prescribed forms of bonds, designating bonds as the general obligation building bonds, Series 2020B, providing for the registration thereof, establishing the school district's reasonable expectation with respect to issuance of the tax-exempt obligation in calendar year 2020, and designating bonds as qualified tax-exempt obligations, approving the form of the continuing disclosure certificate, providing for the levy of an annual tax for payment of principal of and interest on the same, and fixing other details of the issue.
Be glad to answer any questions you have with any one of those citations listed in the resolution, what that means. But this is a standard resolution that you consider each and every time we have a bond sale.
Madam President, I move to approve the resolution as described in agenda item 10Q.
You want to read it again? A motion has been made by Salee and seconded by Schroeder to approve 10Q. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson, Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you, John. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, everyone.
Agenda item 11, proposed executive session for the purpose of discussing employment of personnel, FMLA request, resignation and separation from employment, and transfer of position requests for all set on the personnel reports, extra duty assignments as listed for 2020-21, and a periodic annual evaluation and terms of employment of Dr. Michael Simpson, Superintendent of Schools, disclosure of which information would violate the confidentiality requirements of state and/or federal law pursuant to 25 Oklahoma Statute, Section 307B1 and 7. The motion is ordered to go into executive session. Motion's been made by Smedley and seconded by Flagg to go into executive session. Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson. Yes. Davis.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Flagg, Pearson.
Yes, motion carries.
Do you need everyone's signature?
Hook is 20, 23.
We'll return to open session. Only the items listed in agenda item number 11 were discussion in executive session, and no votes were taken. This will constitute the minutes of the executive session. Agenda item 12, vote on action set out on the personnel reports.
Madam President, I make a motion that we accept the personnel report.
Second. Motion's made by Davis and seconded by Bennett Johnson that we approve the action on the personnel reports. Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 13, recommendation, consideration, and action upon approval of Jason Alexander to be classified as an adjunct teacher for geography at Guthrie Junior High School. Motion has been made by Smedley and seconded by Flagg to approve agenda item number 13. Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 14, action upon recommendation of extra duty assignments as listed for 2020-2021.
Second.
A motion has been made by Flagg and seconded by Schroeder to approve item number 14. Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Item number 15, we have no resignations to be offered, so we can skip that and go to 16. Discussion and possible action on new business not known about or could not have been reasonably foreseen at the time of the agenda posting.
This morning, Mr. Chappell brought me a request to have OR Construction, they are willing to build the frames for covering the bleachers at the softball field for a cost of $1,500. And the Booster Club is willing to pay for this expense. The estimates that we've received in the past to do this work are anywhere from $5,000 to $14,000. And they provided us a certificate of insurance with that as well. I think that would be an excellent addition to our softball field complex. And so I would recommend that the board accept this offer to build the frames for $1,500 with an action item. And we will give them notice to proceed. Mr. Thompson and Mr. Chappell will oversee this. Cody, is there anything I missed on this? Okay.
What will cover the frame? I'm sorry?
Can you come up, Cody? We can't hear you.
Will it be a shade cloth or some kind of metal or?
It'll be some kind of metal.
Okay.
We haven't got there yet. We'll get work on the frame first, and then we'll work on getting the top covered and everything. Okay?
And that will won't be at our expense, correct?
Unless they can raise the money. Okay? One step at a time on this one. But this is a good move. This is a good step forward for it. So,
Yes, and it needs to be done.
and it saves us $5,000 to $10,000. A good move.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? No promises on trees. We'll work on it, though. We'll try to keep it.
But we'll have shade everywhere then.
Madam President, I make a motion that we accept the OR construction bid for the frame for the softball field.
Second?
Motion's been made by Davis and seconded by Schroeder to approve OR Construction to build a frame for the softball field. Is there a discussion? Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 17. Go for it.
I second.
Motion made by Smedley and seconded by Salee to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Salee,
Yes.
Smedley, Bennett Johnson, Davis, Schroeder,
Yes.
Clegg, Pearson.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Two items. One, in case you didn't hear earlier, the governor will be visiting Guthrie tomorrow, and I'm planning, he's asked to tour a school. We're planning to tour the high school, and not really sure on the details yet on that. I know that